started. So this evening, guys, I want us to, we'll do a bit of revision of tara that we did in the beginners course last week, and then we're going to jump into tameni, the dreaded tameni. Monya, hide! It's getting, well, it should become clearer with use more than anything else. So let's have a quick look at the slides. I made a little change to the tara slide just to make it a little bit easier to understand. So this is the problem that we were running into with this thing about going to Mexico and buying tequila, or coming to my house and making a telephone call. So if we think of the time, this is the duration of the conditional verb. So it's got a start and it's got an end, or rather I should say it's got an incomplete stage and a completion stage. And if you want the outcome to occur here at the end of the verb, once the verb's been completed, then use tara. But if you want the outcome, if it's a request or, I don't know, sort of prohibition or something to happen before that verb, then you use nara. So this happens before the verb starts or before the verb's been completed. Okay, so I think I don't need to. Oh, Martin, is this your first time to do tara?
I watched the video you posted of last Thursday.
Okay, let me go through this quickly then. So tara, in comparison to the ba conditional, is almost unregulated. It's this actually at the top here, which is the most the strongest influence it has on how you use tara. So tara refers to if something has been completed, then X. So this is the only real kind of thing that stops us from using tara. But we can use it to make requests, prohibitions, preferences, etc., which is sometimes difficult with nara. Sometimes difficult with the ba conditional. And if you're using it to express a hypothesis, so hypothetically, if this happens, then you should really start the sentence with moshi. Otherwise, we end up using it to mean when something happens rather than if something happens. So a quick run through how to make this conditional form. We put the verb, the adjective, or the noun into the simple past tense. So for group 1 verbs, this is going to be a little bit more complex than group 2, but we'll have a look in a second to see how that's done. And then we put ra after this. So at the end of all of the tara conditional terms, there'll be a tara, or a double T tara, a hard tara. For example, from group 1, if we've got iku, think about how to make the te form of group 1 verbs, and then this makes the ta form. So iku in the te form would be ite, becomes ita in the plain past form, and itara in the conditional. Hanasu becomes hanashite in the te form, hanashita in the plain past form, hanashitara in this conditional form. And then kairu, kaite, kaita, kaitara. Okay, so far, guys? If we just get through the group 1 bit, then that's the main problem solved, really. For group 2, we only need to remember one example verb. So taberu, we remove the ru and put tara on the end. So taberu would become tapetara, miru would be mitara, oshieru, oshietara. And then for group 3 verbs, we just have to remember these. Suru becomes shitara, kuru, kitara. For e-adjectives, we have to jump through a few more hoops. So we've got, again, put this into the past tense. Atsui becomes atsukatta, and then we put the ra on the end, atsukattara. So remember, if we're doing the negative of this, then we make the negative form of the e-adjective first. So atsui would become atsukunai, and then atsukunai is also an e-adjective. Put that into the past. Atsukunakatta, atsukunakattara. If we just remember one example, then we'll have a route for remembering all of them. And then for na adjectives, if you remember that na adjectives are treated very similarly to nouns, so they're usually followed with des. So the plain form of des is da. This becomes benri dattara, or if you want to be really formal, deshtara. And seeing as nouns and adjectives are not really time sensitive, you can also just use nara. Same thing for nouns, ame, ame dattara, ame deshtara, ame nara. And then, of course, you finish the sentence with the consequence, the request, the outcome, whatever it is you want to say is going to happen. So as I've said before, the inclusion of ta, the fact that this is tara, means that all of these are referring to the past tense. So it indicates that the condition is completed first, and then you get the consequence, rather than the condition about to happen. Okay. If we omit moshi at the beginning, it changes the sentence very subtly from if to when. So a good example of this is if you're talking to your children who are less than 18, you wouldn't necessarily say, if you become 18, then you will be able to drink alcohol, because that sounds like you're going to murder them before they reach 18. But when you reach 18, so this would use 18歳になったら rather than nareba or any other kind of conditional. So, for example, this sentence here, もし東京に行ったらお土産を買ってください. This means when you have gone to Tokyo, when you have arrived in Tokyo, please buy me a souvenir. Okay. Any questions, guys? Excellent. Should we do a quick revision? Should we do some exercises around that? I can't hear any of you, so I'm assuming that silence is yes. Let's please do some exercises, please. So I think I'm going to, because Tom normally gets the first one, because he's always first to arrive, so I'm going to work from the bottom up. So Naska, can you ask Kim, if the weather is good tomorrow, where will you work? Yeah, good. So we need to start with moshi though, don't we?
もし天気が良かったら
Good.
どこに働きますか?
Okay, so where should we put tomorrow though?
もし明日
Yeah,
天気
good. が良かったら
天気が良かったらどこに働きますか? どこで
Yes, exactly, good. Good.
え
働きますか。ね。Okay, and Kim?
会社で
会社で
働きます。
働きます。Good, exactly. It's difficult to type Roman. 働きますね。
はい。
Good. Okay, excellent. Kim, how would you say if you drive quickly, then it is dangerous?
This one. I'm not sure if you use moshi in this.
Well, it is hypothetical, really.
So moshi.
If you didn't use it, it would assume that at some point in the future, the person you're talking to is going to drive dangerously. So it's not a, putting moshi in here isn't really critical. It's not that much of a hypothetical question, a hypothetical statement. It's not, yeah, I would put it in actually. Otherwise it might suggest that the other person is a bad driver.
모시 no, wait. 모시 하야쿠 운전시다라
Good. Shitara?
危ないです.
Yes, good. Abunai desu. Good. Cool. Good. Joel, if you don't eat all your vegetables, then you won't grow to be an adult.
I think I've done this already.
Have you? Let's do. How about asking Martin if you're not busy? To be honest, Joel, you've probably done all of these anyway.
Yes, yeah, most of them. Not all, most of them, but I remember this one quite.
Okay. Have you done the going to the party one yet?
No.
No. Okay. Can you ask Martin this one?
Martin-san, 土曜日に暇ならパーティーに行きませんか?
Senka? Good. Okay. Now, Joel, I'm just going to force you to use the tada form in here as well,
Okay.
just to be awkward.
土曜日に忙し
You can still use hima.
Okay.
You still use hima, but just force yourself to use the funny tada form.
Oh, sorry.
暇
Mute.
だったら
Tada. He ignored you anyway, Kim. Tada.
パーティーに行きませんか?
Yeah, good. Party ni ikimasen ka? And Martin?
どうも、けで洗います。
One more time.
けで洗います。I'm washing my hair.
Ke o araimasu.
けを洗います。
Ke o araimasu. Yeah. Okay, Martin, if you open this box, then you'll be able to see the contents.
Okay. Box is dogu.
It's hako. Dogu
Hako?
is tool.
Oh, dogu's tall, isn't it? Okay. So it starts with moshi.
Yep.
Kono.
Good.
Hako.
Yeah.
Open. Akeru.
Good. Exactly.
So kono hako o akata.
So akeru is a group 2 verb. So to do that, how do we turn this?
Aketara.
Aketara. Good.
Okay. Can't remember content. Sorry.
Okay, guys, can somebody tell me contents?
Nuki something.
Niki nuki nu. Anybody? Joel, you can use. Huh? One more time.
Naka?
Not just naka, but nakami.
Nakami.
Yeah.
Omiemas.
Something miyamas. Okay. So this is a stative verb, which you can treat the same way as a potential verb, really. So not nakami or, but nakami. So it's as you can treat it as a potential verb, this should be marked with ga.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember that any kind of thing like, for example, I can eat sushi.
Yep.
Be sushi ga.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Would it be miyamas or mireremas?
Yeah, it could be either actually. So miyamas is fine. Miraremas is also fine.
Yep.
Yeah. One means you will be able to see, and the other one means the contents will be visible.
Okay.
But the particle remains the same, and
Okay.
opposite it now does as well. Yeah. Good. Monya, if you go to India, then please buy me some chili.
India is like
Indo?
Indo.
インドに行ったら、
Ittara?
Chile? I
Is-
know we did.
Anybody? Can you remember anybody?
Instead of igarashi.
Togarashi.
Togarashi.
Togarashi. Yeah.
Togarashi.
There is a very famous spice from Japan.
It's
which is
Togarashi.
Chichimi togarashi.
What's it called again?
Chichimi togarashi, which is
Chichimi.
7-flavor spice,
Yeah.
7-flavor chili.
Yeah, togarashi. Yeah, this is what you put on ramen often, on udon, isn't it? Yeah. Jinky Anaska. And sorry, Manya, back to you.
唐辛子を買ってください。
Very good. Yes. And we should really have a moshi here. Unless you know the person is absolutely going to India, then better to have moshi there. Good. Okay. Tom, if it is hot in here, then please open the window.
ここに暑かったら、moshi, first moshi.
Yep, good. Moshi.
ここに暑かったら、窓を開けてください。
Very good.
And I also want to do a second one because I want to know, normally this one you can also do with moraimas to open the window for me.
Akute moraimasu. Yeah, you can.
It has the same meaning or it has a different nuance?
It has the same meaning really. Akute kudasai. Akute moraimasu. Akute moraimasu.
Because I'm asking to open the window.
Yeah.
I was doubting in my head, that's why I ask.
I mean, grammatically, it's fine. I can't even imagine a situation where, for example, if you're being showed a room by a hotelier, by a hotel owner, and they're being really polite to you, I think even in that situation, they would just say, "Akute kudasai."
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really good question, and I'm not saying this has got a grammatical rule about it. This is just purely a feeling down to the experience I've had in talking to Japanese people, is that kudasai is a very good way of saying, just replacing please with a Japanese word. It's very, very direct, very, very easy to use. If you use, for example, moraimasu ka, it kind of means please for me, a little bit more strongly than kudasai does. So if you say akute moraimasu ka, it sounds like you're doing the other person a favor. Whereas if you just use kudasai, it sounds like you're just saying, just if it's hot, please open the window. It's for your benefit, so please open the window if you're hot.
Okay, then kudasai is better here.
Yeah. I mean, grammatically, it makes no difference at all. It's just that in terms of contexts, if you make it uber polite, it sounds like you're actually asking them to do you a favor. Yeah. Okay. Any questions, guys? Let's do the rest of these actually, because we're doing okay for time. Back to Nazca. If you use this tool, then please be careful as it is dangerous.
この道具を
So
使
start
ったら、
Yeah, この道具。
もしこの道具を
You did say it correctly before.
作る
No, you've already.
作
You said
使ったら
使ったら yes. 使ったら
気をつけて。危ないです。危ないですから。
Yep.
気をつけてください。
Exactly. 気をつけてください。Ale, Nazca, to jest zasadzka. But this is a trap, isn't it, this one, guys?
Yeah. You're using the tool, so you have to use the narrow form.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, Nazca, how would you make this correct to say, if you're using this tool, before you use it, please take care because it is dangerous.
Not moshi.
Yeah, for nara, we don't really need moshi. If you put it in, it's not a mistake, but it's kind of
この
redundant.
道具を作るなら
Not skuru nara, but
そうか。
what's to use?
I don't remember with Nara.
Okay, so this is skull. Skull. It's just the plain form of the verb.
使うなら
And then the rest of it, right?
危ないですから気をつけてください。
Perfect. Good. Excellent. Okay, let's get rid of this one. Cool. Kim, if you cross the road, then please look both ways as it is dangerous.
So that's also a Nara
Very good. Very good.
road. Oh shit. It's Michi.
What's another way of pronouncing Michi, i.e. all the martial arts that we do? Kim, what's the Chinese pronunciation of Michi?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Do I?
Yeah.
Do.
Door.
Ah,
It's the same door as in Iaido, Kendo, Jodo, every single Japanese martial art that you know.
Doro.
Doro. Yes.
Doro is also road. Yes.
Yes. Doro.
And crossing.
This is Wataru.
Wataru. Okay. Doro o Wataru nara. Both ways. No idea.
So we can use either. We can either say literally both directions, or we could say left and right.
Migi, hidari, but there is something in between, I guess.
Yeah. So we can use the Chinese reading of this. Sayu. Sa means hidari, and yu means migi.
Okay. Sayu. Sayu. Sayu mite kudasai.
Yeah, exactly. So
Kudasai.
as it is dangerous.
Kara abunai desu.
Yeah.
No.
Where does the reasoning go in a Japanese sentence?
Ki o tsukete kudasai. No.
No. How do you say it is dangerous?
It is dangerous. I did it.
Maska did it just now.
Yeah. Abunai desu kara.
Yeah. But it's the positioning which is important.
Oh, damn. Yes, it is. So nara. Wataru nara. Abunai desu kara.
Yeah.
Sayu mite kudasai.
Yes, good. Exactly. Sayu mite kudasai. Cool. Good.
I have to switch it.
Yeah.
Place. Damn it.
Kim, how would you say when you cross the road, please look both ways as it is dangerous?
Moshi or
no, because moshi means we use tara, which means it's happened already, so we can't really use moshi. But when you cross the road,
watara.
That's still tara. That's still watattara is still tara, isn't it? We did it in the advanced class like 1 month ago. When you do something, when something happens. I'm willing to take contributions from the studio audience. Anybody?
Yes, please.
Doro o watara toki.
Yes.
Toki, yeah.
Exactly, toki. Doro
Toki.
o wataru toki.
No.
And then the rest of it is actually exactly the same. This can be almost perfectly replacing nara, wataru toki.
Okay.
Only difference is nara suggests that maybe it might never happen. Maybe you'll never cross the road. Whereas toki suggests it probably will happen because you're saying when you do cross the road. Yeah. Okay, good. Joel, if the weather is clear tomorrow, then you've done this one already, haven't you?
明日、天気が晴れなら、
Good. 晴れなら
岸に行きましょ
岸に行きましょう. So kishi actually means coast, which is fine. Most people would say
う。I don't remember the word for beach.
kaigan.
海岸。
Yeah.
Kai is the kanji for ocean.
Exactly, it's umi. Yeah, same as umi. It is umi. Yeah, and then gan means harbor or side. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Right, let's read, guys. Let's read these now because I'm running out of space on the screen anyway. So if you can unmute yourselves, please. もし明日天気が良かったらどこで働きますか？
もし明日天気が良かったらどこで働きますか？
どこで働きますか？
会社で働きます。
会社で働きます。
もし早く運転したら危ないです。
もし
もし
早く
早く
危ないです。
危ないです。
Let's do this one. 土曜日に暇だったらパーティーに行きませんか？
土曜日に暇だったらパーティーに
パーティーに行きませんか？
I think what Martin meant to say was すいませんが毛を洗います。
すみませんが手を洗います。
And Martin has 髪の毛 to be. Care does mean hair, but this hair, head hair is 髪の毛. Yeah. もしこの箱を開けたら中身が見えます。
もしこの箱を開けたら中身が見えます。
中身が見えます。
もしインドに行ったら唐辛子を買ってください。
もしインドに行ったら唐辛子を買ってください。
もしここに暑かったら窓を開けてください。
もしここに暑かったら窓を開けてください。
開けてください。
この道具を使うなら危ないですから気をつけてください。
この道具をなら危ないですから気をつけてください。
道路を渡るなら危ないですから左右見てください。
道路を渡るなら危ないですから左右見てください。
道路を渡るとき危ないですから左右見てください。
道路を渡るとき危ないですから左右見てください。
明日天気が晴れなら海岸に行きましょ
う。明日天気が晴れなら海岸に行きましょう。
I'll be right back in a second. To expand both our vocabulary and our culinary knowledge. So this is what Joel was talking about, 7 spice, but this is called shichimi. But it's written as 7 spice powder, but it's actually chili. This is what you sprinkle on udon. And this is, it's called sansho, which means sansho. I think it's actually means a mountain pepper, and you put this often on miso soup, and it's got a really nice smell. If you're eating ramen, quite often or gyoza, quite often you'll put on, it's actually written in the original Chinese layu, but this is in Japanese, there is no L, so it's a rayu. It's actually a Chinese chili sauce. And there's also sansho. Sansho, all the rest is just sansho. Yes. But
And I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
So when for the crossing the road, would it also be possible to start with Abunai Deskara?
Of course, yeah, for sure. Abunai Deskara, Doro o wataru nara, kiyotsukete kudasai. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Everybody fine with tara? Tara. Excellent. Right, let's go on to today's new lesson. Coding analogy or giving driving directions. Coding analogy or giving driving directions. I've just seen something in the notes. No, I don't want to read. Okay, tameni. Great. Okay, so this week we're going to start this new topic called tame, which means for the benefit, purpose, or necessity of. It's got nothing to do with the tame that's sometimes talked about in Iaido and Kendo. That comes from tameru, which means to accumulate, but this is just a grammatical term, tame. Now we're going to have one leg over the next year or so, 1 foot on tame and 1 foot on yoni. These are two similar terms in Japanese, so I'm going to contrast tameni constantly with yoni, and afterwards you'll be grateful because understanding that distinction is quite difficult. So if we've got direct intentionality, I will do this in order to do that, then we mostly use tameni, tame. It's pretty easy to use, but the particles need to be correct. There are some regulations. The first regulation is that if we're using verbs in this tameni term, then the subjects of both of those verbs must be the same. Otherwise, you have to use yoni. And the first verb before tameni must be in the affirmative. It cannot be nai or arimasen or something like this. For example, this is the best way to learn it. For the benefit of George, I bought some vegetables. So George is obviously the person who's receiving the benefit, and this is what you're doing to achieve this. In order to pass my exams, I must study more. This is an elevator for Martin, the elderly. And this is a book for fixing cars. So these are all 4 slightly different sentences, and you'll see shortly why I put them up. So in each case, we need to establish what or who is the beneficiary, who's getting the benefit, or what is the benefit, and then what is the necessity or the provision that you're giving, that's being given. So I've categorized these into beneficiary and necessity. Okay. So, for example, in the first one, George is the beneficiary. He's the one who's benefiting from this. And the necessity is buying some vegetables. Okay. Is everybody clear on this? This is the key part of the grammar. So how about in order to pass my exams, I must study more. So Monya, what's the beneficiary in this?
To pass the exam.
Exactly. And then the necessity is,
Study more.
yeah, good. And then Tom, for the third one, this is an elevator for the elderly.
I would say that the necessity is the elevator and the beneficial is the elderly.
Excellent, good. Yes. Oh, and Martin, for the fourth one.
Oh, the beneficiary is the fixing of the cars, and the necessity is the book, having the book.
Exactly, good, excellent. Right, that's not too tricky then, is it? So in each case, in each of these cases, there is either a noun, so George and the elderly, an elevator and a book, or there's a verb. And these can go in either places. So passing the exams or fixing cars is the verb. Buying vegetables or studying more is a verb. So we've got 4 potential combinations of nouns and verbs in either the beneficiary or the necessity. Now this makes a difference to how we surround tame. So the general construction is that we have benefit first, or sorry, beneficiary first, and then necessity after. And then between these, if it's a noun in beneficiary, then we put no here. If it's a verb, then we don't put anything. Then between tame and the necessity, if it's a noun, we put no. And if it's a verb or sometimes an adjective, we put ni. Okay. You're looking surprised, Monia, or is that the way you always look? Okay, so this structure, if you don't already have it on a piece of paper in front of you, you need to write it down. Everybody okay? Excellent, good. So with that, let's now try and construct these sentences. For the benefit of George, I bought some vegetables. Kim, you're next.
George no tame ni yasai kaimashita.
Yasai. So kaimashita is correct. What happens after yasai? What's the past?
Yasai o kaimashita.
Okay, let's see. George no tame ni yasai o kaimashita. Excellent. Perfect. I mean, I'm surprised that you're surprised. This is like the 5th time we've been through this lesson together, Kim.
Still I'm surprised.
Let me just ask, Nazca, your video's gone off, but are you still with us or are you doing something?
I'm here. I have some problems with connections, so I'm not using it.
Oh, okay, but you can still answer these, can't you?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So would you like to do number 2?
Excuse me.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Kim.
For me, it's not really clear because the first word after tame is for me yasai.
Good,
yeah, I would say that's a noun.
Yeah, you're right. That can be confusing. So what we have to do in each case is perhaps not think of this as being a word, but the clause that happens afterwards. Yeah, and then deciding whether or not the clause is a verb sentence or a noun statement. So, for example, if this necessity finishes with des or deshta, then you know that this was preceded by a noun. So this would be a noun subclause.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Nazca, would you like to do the second one? In order to pass my exam, I must study more.
試験受かる？審査の受かる？審査を受かるために、
So
もっ
more.
と勉強する必要があります。
Good. Yeah. Very good. I think this was in the, as it was must, I think this was in the obligative. So can you what you said was correct, but can you also put this into the I have to form?
はい。審査を審査を受かるために、もっと勉強すれば、
I'm not sure, but remember this must be the negative. 勉強し
なければ、勉強しなければ、勉強しなければなりません。
Exactly, yes. 勉強しなければなりません。試験の合格を受かる doesn't matter. 合格するためにもっと勉強しなければなりません。Good. Everybody okay? Cool. Joel, this is an elevator for the elderly.
これは how do you say elderly? I forgot.
年寄り is a polite way of saying this.
これは年寄りのためのエレベーターです。
Good, yes. これがお年寄りのためのエレベーターです。Good. So Kim, have a look at the screen. Kimmy. So here we've got des. So we've got a noun here as well, but as this is des, this is making this into a noun statement rather than a verb statement. So this would be valid to have no here in this case. Okay.
Andy?
Martin first, then Tom.
Oh, okay.
Croatia? What's Croatia?
Kore.
That's my dictionary says is old people.
Sorry, there's probably another word. How do you say it again?
Croatia.
Croatia.
K-O-U-R-E-I-S-H-A. I'm happy with your Toshiori. I've seen that one before.
Yeah, I mean, old person, old people. Sorry, give me a second. I'm just interested in this, in the kanji for this, actually. To be honest, it means almost exactly the same. So, toshiori. Sorry, let me just quick this up. Koreisha means high age person, and then toshiori basically means the same thing, but it literally translates as somebody who has accumulated years.
Okay.
Yeah, but they both translate into old person or elderly person. So they're both Koreisha. Yeah, I think they're both equally polite as well. And Tom?
Maybe this is a little bit too far-fetched, but if I wanted to say that for the benefit of George knowing, then tameni, the contents of the box has to be visible. So if I have a stative verb.
Right, hang on a second. Let me just quickly write this down because I need to understand what you're saying. Just clear that a second. One more time, Tom.
So for the benefit for me of knowing what's inside the box.
For the benefit.
And then.
So give me a second. For the benefit of me knowing what is inside the box. Yeah.
Then so tame, and then something, and then when I use a stative verb, so becoming visible. So the contents of the box must become visible. Is it then still a verb for the particle or not?
Never use that
I'm sorry.
sentence.
No, for the purpose of knowing what's in the box, I have the contents has to be.
The contents must be visible.
Yeah, I've taken this as an example, but I can imagine because we learned that there are the stative verbs you called them last time. Yeah. They are a special group. So does it that make it better yoni because it's not intentional or not?
So yeah, this here knowing is a stative verb, so you would need to use yoni in this case.
Okay.
Only this bit. This is the thing which determines whether or not you can use tamini or yoni. This part here is irrelevant. the outcome, the consequence is, it's just that's the main part of the sentence. So you can use whatever, doesn't matter. It doesn't control if you use yoni or tameni, but it's the preceding part which tells you if you can use tameni or yoni. So this would be hako no nakami o nani ga haitte iru ka o rikai dekiru yoni. You did ask, Tom. Nakami ga mien.
It's more complex than I thought.
Yeah, I know. Mienakereba wakarimasen. If you ask Yuki, he'll probably, or Yuki, they'll probably tell you that there's probably a slightly simpler way of saying this, but this is a very careful direct translation. Or this could be haiteru ka or wakaru yoni. Ga wakaru yoni. Ga wakaru yoni nakami ga mienakereba. You can just do mienakereba narimasen. So this is just saying the contents must be visible. This is saying in order to, but in this case, this is about a stative or an ability point. So we use yoni instead of tameni. Yeah. And this is just saying what is inside. What is inside? Nani ga haiteru ka. The thing which is inside.
Thank you.
Or actually, you could just take that out. It could be like this actually, Tom. Hako no nakami ga wakaru yoni, nakami ga mienakereba narimasen.
In order to understand the content of the box, the content has to be visible.
Yeah, this would be understood. It's probably not a perfect translation of it, but this is grammatically correct and it would be understood. Okay.
You said we had to play with.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. This is how you learn. You throw things up in the air, see how they land, and try and fix it. Exactly. Yeah. Kim.
I have one question about the last sentence we translated.
Sure. Let's go back to that in a second. Okay.
I was getting confused because the kore ga was placed before the otochiyori. So that in my ears it would sound like this elderly.
Yeah, so really there's a kind of invisible comma just here, but you're right, this could also be written as otoshiori no tame no no, you need to announce this. No, you can't. Otoshi no tame ni kore ga erubeta desu. It slightly changes the structure of the sentence. You could say otoshiori no tame no, but then you can't put kore ga erubeta desu because this elevator is fixed to tameni. This one here. If you wanted to put kore ga in here, then this would say otoshiori no tame ni kore ga erubeta desu, and you can hear we've changed not for ni for no apparent reason, but that's how you would make it.
But that's possible that you put the kore ga on the other side. That is
but you're making it complex because this now changes to ni in that case.
Because it is more like a verb.
Yeah, it's kind of it becomes a stative verb then. Yeah. Whereas this is just a statement that this is the elevator, which is for the benefit of the elderly. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Who was next? Who did the elevator? That was
Joel.
Okay. Monia. This is a book for fixing cars. Are you muted, Manya?
Fixing.
Is naosu. Naosu.
Now.
Naosu. Naosu. Naosu.
これが、車。
Let it dry. Take it. Okay. Take it off with a sharp knife. Hold sideways.
I don't know how to put fixing related to cars.
Okay, so I mean, basically, naosu is just the verb that you apply to a car. So you're doing something to the car. So the kuruma, and then which particle will we have next?
車を
Oh, yep. Naosu. That's the verb you're doing.
直します。
Oh, no. You leave it in the plain form.
OK。これが、車を直すための本です。
Shall we? これが車を直すための本です。Perfect. Excellent. Something else. Cool. Right. Any questions, guys, before we try some exercises? So I'm going to give a little caveat before we start the exercises. Since first making this lesson and making the questions for it, I've learned a bit more about tameni and yoni. So some of these might be more appropriate to have as yoni. We'll just have to work together on this to get it to be correct. Okay, Tom, you're first. I'll go to Manchester tomorrow so I can buy a car.
Do we have to say what the beneficial is and the benefit, or just try to translate it?
If you're confident, just translate it.
Okay. 明日。車が it's can buy is buy is cow, so we're going especially for Manchester Tame ni Manchester ni mas.
If this was going to be ga, then this would be kaeru, and then this would be yoni.
Because if it's potential, then it's always yoni.
Yeah. Now, the bit I am going to add, because now I've kind of learned a little bit more about this, is kuruma o. One of the biggest differences between tameni and yoni is best expressed in the way that we say it in English and probably in your own languages as well. So at the moment, this sentence looks quite complex. So I can buy a car. What we would normally say is, I will go to Manchester tomorrow, and then very simply, to buy a car. But the problem is that what most of you would probably do is translate this differently and say kuruma o kai ni ikimasu, which would be correct. This is also correct. Exactly say this. This is why I've kind of written it in this way so I can buy a car, to try and make you think about using tameni instead of just saying this really simple kai ni ikimasu. So Tom, I understand why you wanted to sort of put something else in there, but really we're just going to.
Yeah, I chose the ga because I had the can, and then I fell into the trap because then I needed yoni.
Yeah. I mean, this would be if you were. So the distinction between yoni and tameni is that yoni suggests that even if you do this countermeasure, this outcome bit, that there's still more work to be done. So it's only being able to buy a car, but you've still got to go and borrow the money from the bank and ask your wife if it's okay to buy a car and apply to the DVLC and make sure that the law is okay for you to travel to Manchester, all these other things that go on as well. But tameni says, I'm just going to go and buy a car. It's so I can buy a car. There's nothing else to do except go to Manchester. Yeah. Oui, Monia, this medicine is for curing headaches.
Okay. I think I have no vocabulary, no medicine.
Okay, so curing, and for now, if you just in case you can't remember, curing and fixing, you can use the same verb, which was
Now also.
now. So yeah, exactly. And then we'll go into a bit more vocabulary in a second. Headache. There's two ways of saying this. There's the difficult way, which might be difficult to remember, or you can say a pain of my head. So what's head? Atama. And do you remember what pain is?
Itai? No.
Okay, good. So itai means painful.
Itaku.
Itaku means to become painful.
Okay.
The noun is itami.
Itami.
Itami. Yeah. But if you make this into the Chinese reading and this into the Chinese reading, you end up with anybody? If you look up headache in your AE dict, it will almost certainly come up.
Zutsu.
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 And it's a double T, I think, isn't it?
No, it's single T.
Oh, is it single?
W.
W at the end.
Zutsu. Thank you.
Zutsu.
Yes, right. Zutsu. Thank you. Zutsu. And then medicine, Monia, is kusuri. Kusuri.
Okay. Korega zutsu zutsu o naosu tame ni no tame no
Good.
tame no kuzuri.
It is.
No?
This is fine, but we need to finish with des.
Okay.
Yeah, des. Yeah, good. What do you got? So we've got lots of time, guys, and not that many examples. So I'm going to look at this in a little bit more depth. If you said this, you would be completely understood. It sounds a bit funny, but it's completely good. Because naosu means cure and fix, but it's normally used for fix more than cure. It really means kind of completely, for example, if you broke your arm and then you put plaster on it and then it's kind of fixed like this, is this kind of curing? A better way to express this isn't to use naosu, which is a transitive verb, but is to use the intransitive verb, which is, anybody? I'll give you some exercises to go and search for it.
Naoru.
Naoru, good. Naoru, this is the intransitive. So then Monia, as you're here, how would we now change this to use naoru? There's only two changes actually to this sentence. But have a go.
Kuruga zutsu ga.
Good. Yes. And then?
I guess I have to change the verb, but
yeah. It's just now. It's still nauru. It's still the plain form.
Yeah, I know, but nauru. Nauru?
Yeah, this is correct.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for the rest of the sentence.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's the same. Tame no kusuri desu.
Okay, I thought that the second change was the use of the verb,
No,
not
no.
but with a different.
Purely
Okay.
this. It's just now says, instead of saying this is a medicine for and then kind of me to fix a headache, it's now saying this is a medicine for headaches to get better.
Okay.
This is just the difference in the sentences. But these, if you, as I said, if you say this one, it's not grammatically incorrect. It's absolutely fine. You would be completely understood. Yeah. It's just that this one, it sounds a bit more like an adult speaking.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Since we have the time, I'm going to try another one.
Sure.
Could we also use the E adjective to say get better?
Yep.
Headache, get better?
Yep, let's do it.
Ogaides?
Okay.
I don't know how, but
Okay, so for especially for reading and speaking practice, Tom, so tell me the sentence as you think you should do it. The whole sentence.
So, this medicine?
In Japanese.
So that's still the same, korega.
Mm-hmm.
So the head stays also the same, so sutsu.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hogaides.
No,
make it better.
Hogaides means it is better.
It is better, not to make it. So I have to combine it still with the verb. No, it is better to use then. Then...
So it's a good question, and we should learn this because we can use it much more generally than just in application of this sentence. To make something better, in English we got one word for this, which is improve. You probably have a similar word in your own languages. This can mean to either fix something, like a headache, or to make it better than it is at the moment. To make it better than now. So, for example, to improve the taste of something, to become better at Japanese, to fix a relationship with somebody. Use this one term, which is, I'll write it in English first, and then you have to try and translate it into Japanese. My advice is to just do it directly, direct translation. To do good. Just translate it exactly as this. Not e or not e, but yoi. This is just now the adjective. But we want to make an adverb, don't we?
Yoku.
Yoku. Shimasu. Just this. You can use this for all of these situations to say, to make something better, to fix it, to make it better, to improve it. All these things you can use yoku suru. Yoku suru. So, Tom, to then put this in the context of the sentence, this is a medicine for making headaches better. How would you do this?
Then I have to include that I have to take the medicine.
No.
That's
not what the sentence. That's not what the original sentence is. It just says this is a
medicine
for headaches.
Koega sutsu oyokusuru.
Yep. Carry on.
So then I already have this headache to do good.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's all, because that exactly says this medicine is for curing headaches.
Yeah, you need the rest of the sentence. So.
Tame no kusuri desu.
Yes, exactly.
I need the medicine. Tame no kusuri desu.
これが頭痛を良くするための薬です。
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you simplify this one and go do something like この薬は頭痛のためです。
Yes, you can exactly this. この薬は頭痛のためです。Exactly, you can do this. Yep. Any questions, guys, before we carry on?
Why is there nothing after tame?
Yeah.
Not even a no or a ni?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, basically, this has been picked up. Sorry, this has been picked up and could be put here, like this. But what Joel's done, he's picked this up and said, I don't want it there. I want it over here. This medicine is for the benefit of headaches.
I think Japanese is like you put all the verbs in a pot, you shake it around,
yeah,
and you throw it back on the table, and you see that the subject is in front and the verb is at the end, and all the rest in between doesn't matter.
Yeah, but this was lesson 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was
exactly what I said. Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be fair though, that's still, even that rule you just said is far, far more strict and far more specific than almost certainly Dutch, English, Portuguese. I'm not sure about Polish. Maybe Polish is a bit more strict. It's much more flexible and much more. There are far more inconsistencies in our European languages than there are in the Japanese language. I betcha.
Actually, Portuguese is quite flexible. You can change things around as well.
Right.
But you normally don't do it because it's kind of a literary. It's kind of in literature you do that.
Right.
But in common talk, you don't do it as you don't do it almost never.
Yeah.
If you're writing a book and you want to like embellish it or give it a little bit more flourish, you can change things around.
Right.
But grammatically it's correct.
Yeah.
But it's totally unused.
Sure.
In normal talk.
And has that changed in the last? I mean, I know that you weren't here 50 years ago, but do you think that's changed compared to 50 years ago?
I don't think so.
Really? Okay.
I don't think so.
Because I think
maybe
English
maybe like in 100 years or 200 years, but in the last 50 years, I doubt it.
Because spoken English has significantly changed.
Yeah.
Even in the last 30 years, really. I mean, the further back you look, the more different it looks. Yeah.
The reason why I asked it was because you teach us to tell somebody was smart that we use he has a good head. That's why I asked for the Yokushimas.
Ah, okay. Like tamagai, you mean?
So how do you say somebody is smart? Tamagai.
Yeah, tamagai desu.
That's why I try to use the es to make something better, and that's how it sticks in my head that it's an easy way to say something is going to be better or good.
Yeah. You can exactly use it in this way. Yep. Cool. Right. Let's move on to Joel. I bought wine for the party.
Party no tame ni wine o kaimashita.
Good. Party no tame ni wine o kaimashita. Good. Kim, in order to go abroad, I need a passport.
Why do I get those sentences with difficult words?
This is easy. Come on, this is easy. What's
to go abroad? No idea.
You've got a choice. What's a foreign country in Japanese? Gaikoku.
Gaikoku. Okay.
Kim, in Japan, you are a Gaikokujin.
Ah, okay.
If you were saying
didn't
this 30 years ago, you would be a Gaijin.
Gaijin.
This is considered to be prejudicious now. So it's now changed to Gaikokujin, which is silly because it's just the same word with another word inside of it. It still means foreigner. I still don't understand why they have to specify that you're a foreigner when there are quite a few ethnic European real Japanese people who've been born in Japan who are European descendants. So Gaikoku is one way to say a different country. More usually though, we use the word overseas because in Japan, any foreign country is overseas, just as it is in the UK. And in this case, we use the word kaigai. Kai means sea, and gai means outside. Kaigai.
Okay. So I say kaigai ni iku tame need. Then it is tame ni passporto o, and then I need.
Right, so we've got some choices here actually, and this is where this again might be confusing whether this should be a ni or a no. So to keep things simple, let's stick a verb in there, which means to need.
Passporto.
I'm going to help you.
Passport test.
No, that just means this is the passport for going abroad.
Yes.
But I'm going to just change it slightly. So I'm going to keep the original sentence the same. The verb to need is irimasu. Iru. This is a group 1 verb.
Iru.
Yeah. Okay. So here, for example, now usually you'd think, well, this should be a transitive verb, so therefore it should be passport or. But if you look up iru in your edict or similar, it's the, which entry is it?
It's an intransitive, but you also have.
Exactly, it's an intransitive verb. So this means we can't use passport or, but passport.
Ga.
Good.
Irimasu.
Irimasu. Right. So we've now made a verb. This is a verb sentence here. So we tame ni is good.
Right.
But you might remember that we also had a na adjective to mean necessary. Anybody remember what this is? One more time, Martin.
Necessary.
Hitsuyo.
Necessary.
Hitsuyo. Good. Hitsuyo.
Itsuyo.
This is a na adjective. Now, if we stick that in there, does it change this particle? Tame. Put the blank there. Passport. Ga. Should we do passport or like that? Ga. Hitsuyo. And then what should we finish this with? Hitsuyo.
Yes.
Hitsuyo des. So what does that say about this particle here?
That will be no.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Because you're saying this is a thing, but it's actually ni. Let me explain why.
Yes is a verb.
Sorry.
Yes is a verb.
Well, basically it is a stative verb. It is a stative verb. But let me just quickly go back to the slides, and I'll show you where I made this little tiny statement, which is if this is an adjective. Can you see this little adj here?
Okay.
So this needs to be ni.
And the edge is because we are using the hitsuyo.
Yeah. Let me explain the difference between two different sentences. Give me a second, guys.
I think he doesn't like Belgium.
It's always giving me exceptions
Yeah.
and trying to hang on to some logical theory and then exception. Okay.
So
Down.
in this subclause here, what we've
Mhm.
what we've actually got is a statement. We've got noun is a thing, is what we're saying.
Noun.
So we're saying basically the passport is something.
Mhm.
So although we've got a noun in there, and we've actually got an adjective here, and by putting des at the end, this is no longer just a noun statement. It's actually a stative verb. Des becomes a stative verb. I mean, we don't need to know this much about this actually, but the only time we'd actually have not here is kaigai ni iku tame. The only time we'd have a not is if this is just purely a noun and nothing else. When we're saying this is the thing, noun des. It's the only time. If we're saying this noun is required, then this is no longer the same shaped sentence.
Like
longer
this.
a noun.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is the plane. This is the airplane for going abroad.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's no longer really just a simple noun statement. If it was just this is a plane, then it's just a noun statement. But if you say this is the plane that's going to fly to Egypt, then you can no longer call this just a simple noun statement. You can no longer use no. You have to use ni. Because you're actually doing something to the passport here. You're not just saying it is the passport. You're saying a passport becomes necessary. A passport is necessary. So you can't simply treat this as a noun. I mean, you can see that, for example, in order to go abroad, I need a passport. You can see this is different too. This is an elevator for the elderly. Well, let me just restructure this. For the elderly, for the benefit of the elderly, excuse me, this is an elevator. You can see that this sentence here is not even close to being equivalent to this sentence here. This is just saying this is a noun. Here it is. This is saying that this noun has some kind of nature about it.
Yeah, you need it.
Yeah, yeah. You're describing the noun. You're not just saying this is the noun. So we can't use no here. We have to use ni. This is why if there's an adjective after tame, then we need to make it ni. Yeah. However,
no.
However, be careful though. Don't just see, if you see an adjective and a noun in the same sentence, don't just think, oh, okay, this is ni. What about this? Let's use this elevator one. This one here, as we've got a little bit of time.
An old elevator.
Yeah, so I'm not going to use this sentence. I'm going to use this sentence here. Yeah, exactly. What about if we stick? Let's make it even easier than that, Kim. Let's say this is a black elevator.
That's easier.
Yeah. Because now, let's just say Toshiyori no tame, and then something. Kuroi elevator desu.
I would say no.
You're correct. It's not.
No.
Because this is only now being used as a modifier for the elevator. Yeah, they're stuck together, aren't they? You're not saying the elevator will become black for the benefit of the elderly. You're just saying this is a black elevator. This is a black elevator for the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
Make yourself comfortable again. Right. Is that okay, guys? Where were we? Just a second. I'm just going to get rid of everything we don't need.
Kom eens langs hier. Kom eens langs hier. Als je durft. Kom eens. Kom eens hier. Kijk eens, schat. Kijk eens dat.
Hello. Come and learn some Japanese and laugh at your father.
Ja. Kom naar Japans luisteren.
Okay, so kaigai ni iku tame. Back to your problem, Kim. Kaigai ni iku tame.
Where are we?
Just the line here. In order to go
Kaigai ni
abroad, I
iku
need a
tame.
passport.
Ni passporto o. And what was the verb?
So you can use iru.
Irimas.
Irimasu. And then I'm going to force this. Now use the na adjective instead.
Kaigai ni iku tame ni.
Sorry, this isn't or irimasu, is it? It's ga irimasu, sorry.
Ga. Oh,
Confusion.
sorry.
Ga irimasu. Yep.
But what was the other? Itsuyo.
Mm-hmm.
Passporto hitsuyo desu.
Yes, good. Ga hitsuyo desu.
Ga hitsuyo desu.
Yeah, good, good, good. This your, the Chinese reading of this is irimasu. This is the same kanji. In fact, it's a funny word. Hitsu means necessary, and your means necessary. Yeah.
It's very necessary.
It's very necessary. Yeah, good. Okay, Martin, I must go to university for me to join the Navy.
Oh, thanks. It's water army, isn't it? So it's going to be
sea army. Sea army. It's not the wet army. It's the sea army.
Kaigun.
Kaigun. Yeah.
I don't know the verb for to go because
you can use to join. You can use to enter.
Okay. Kaigo no hairu. So that's a verb. So it's tame.
Yep.
Ni.
Yep.
University is dai something.
It's big learning. Dai. Come on, guys, you can help if you want.
Daigakko.
Daigakko. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ni ikimasu.
Yeah, ikimasu is fine. Or if you want to say, I have to go.
Ikanakereba narimasen.
Very good. Ikanakereba narimasen. Very good. Excellent. Nasuka, this desk is for foreigners. Here we go. We're going to use this foreigners word. Nasuka, can you just unmute yourself so I know that you can hear me and you haven't fallen asleep? Nasuka? Nasuka, Imaska? Okay, I'll come back to you if you come back. Tom, this desk is for foreigners.
Korega. Gaikokujin no tame no desk skate.
Nearly. Anybody can? You just said it, I think, one more time.
Square.
Square, yes.
Square.
Yep.
Des.
No. Good. Yep.
Des.
Good. How can you restate this in a different way? The way that Joel talked about earlier.
This is for foreigners. So this kono square ga. Don't do I need that? No, I don't think I need the ga. Isn't that no tame?
You need wa or ga, one of these.
Gaikoku Jin no tame desu.
Perfect. Good.
Joao is much fluent, more fluent.
Okay, Monya, this is the ticket for going to Kyoto.
これが、京都に行くためのティケット、
Well, actually, chiketto is actually one way of saying this. This is fine. Chiketto, I think it's spelled.
チケットです。
Yes, and the actual Japanese word is, come on guys, you can help.
Kippu.
Kippu. Good. Kippu. Keep this. Good. And Monya, can you do the same thing as Tom did? Can you change this?
Sorry, I was on.
Sure. So the way we just did this before was, for example, this desk is for foreigners. これが外国人のための机です. But you can also start with this desk, この机が, and then 外国人のためです. Just のためです. So can you do the same thing here?
この切符は、京都に行くためです。
Very good. Exactly. Perfect. Joel, I will call a taxi to go to the party.
Party 行くため、パーティーに行くためにタクシーを What's the 読めます No. 読みます
Not yomu, but your.
呼びます
Yobimas.
I always mix those two.
Yobimas. Good. Okay, let's read these now, guys, because we're running out of space. If you can unmute yourselves, please. And prepare your family to laugh at you, Kim.
Yes, they always do.
明日車を買うためにマンチェスターに行きます。
明日車を買うためにマンチェスターに行きます。
Let's do this proper one. これが頭痛が治るための薬です。
これが
頭痛が治るための薬です。
ちょっと待ってください。この薬が頭痛が治る
ダメです。
のです。
No です。No. No.
Just a second. この薬が頭痛を治るのための。Oh, no. It's not. It's just now ためです。Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If I was going to reduce my YouTube rating, I would just say, I'm just fucking with you guys. パーティーのためにワインを買いました。
パーティーのためにワインを買いました。
海外に行くためにパスポートがいります。
海外に行くためにパスポートがいります。
And 海外に行くためにパスポートが必要です。
海外に行くためにパスポートが必要です。
Guys, can you actually tell me, there is a difference between the kind of nuance or the meaning of these two sentences. Can you identify what it is?
I would understand the first one like there is or it is imas. No, that's imas.
Yeah, it's imas. This is irimas.
The first one is clearly about me. I need a passport, and the second one is just a passport is necessary statement.
Exactly. Yes. This means I need a passport, and this means a passport is necessary. Exactly that. You can use either of these sentences in this situation. It's just that this one is the nuance is that you need a passport rather than one needs a passport. Yeah, good. 海軍を入るために大学に行かなければなりません。
海
軍
を入るために大学に行かなければなりません。
行かなければなりません。
これが外国人のための机です。
これが
これが外国人のための机です。
のための机です。
この机が外国人のためです。
こ
の机が外国人のためです。
これが京都に行くための切符です。
これが
京都に行くための切符です。
この切符は京都に行くためです。
この切符
は京都に行くためです。
パーティーに行くためにタクシーを呼びます。
パーティーに行くためにタクシーを呼びます。
Okay, so just before we do the last examples, guys, the thing that I want to really ask if you're clear on is the directness between the beneficiary and the necessity in this. That it's not a vague connection between, for example, I will call a taxi to go to the party. This is really clearly saying we are going to go to a party in a few minutes, and I'm going to call a taxi so we can go. It's not saying I will call a taxi in order for us to be able to go to a non-specific party, right? There's clearly a party is happening and we want to go there and I will call a taxi for us to go there. Not, I'm going to call a taxi just in case a party happens somewhere and we want to be able to go to this party which I don't yet know about, but it might happen in the future. This is the difference between tameni and yoni. This is why I'm saying this now, because when we get onto yoni, there isn't this direct connection that there is at the moment with tameni. Okay? That's the bit I need you to understand more than anything else, because it becomes difficult after this. Cool. To cut correctly, you must hold the sword softly. Nazca, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Do you want to do this one?
正しく切るために、刀を I don't remember to hold.
So we can use for now motsu.
持つ。外持つ必要があります。
You can probably just use must here, so the same nakalaka thing that we did before. But we've got to get this word in as well, though, softly.
柔らかく。
Very good.
正しく切るために刀を柔らかく持たなければなりません。
Very good. 持たなければなりません. Good. Excellent. 正しく切るために刀を柔らかく持たなければなりません. So as you guys are all Iaido students, we wouldn't usually use motsu. We would use usually, so this means to hold. There's actually other words that are used to mean to grip. Do any of you know what these are?
In the beginning, kakeru, to put the hands on the sword.
Kakeru means to put the hands on, but it doesn't mean to actually grip. So one is skamaru. Skamaru. If you look this up, you can see the. No, this actually means to. I think it means to catch.
My dictionary suggests gripu.
Gripu shimasu. Yeah, actually, this is used when you're talking about weightlifting. To grip. Just look at
And nigiru?
yeah, nigiru is the other one. Nigiru. Nigiru. And this, so these are, nigiru is group 1, so it's nigirimasu. And then from nigirimasu, this might sound familiar to some of you. Anybody? Joel, if you spent time in Japan, then you almost certainly have come across this word nigiri.
Nigiri?
Yeah.
Sushi?
Yes.
Ah,
Nigiri sushi.
Yes.
So this specifically means the sushi that's made by putting some fish on rice and squeezing it. Nigiri sushi. Squeezed. In comparison with sushi which is rolled up, which is makizushi. Nigiri sushi. Okay, so Nasuka.
It's interesting. I always wondered. I always wondered why it was called nigiri sushi, because the maki sushi was quite obvious, but the nigiri sushi I never really understood why it was called nigiri sushi. Now I know.
Yeah, just means squeezed, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Tsukamaru. Let me just quickly check this. Pretty sure it's because they could tsukamu or tsukamaru. Hang on a second, guys. Tsukamaru. Intransitive, so it's tsukamu. Sorry, it should be tsukamu. I beg your pardon. Oops. Tsukamu. So, Nasuka, can you now remake the sentence, not with motsu, but with nigiru, please? Are you there, Nasuka? Can you unmute yourself so I know that you're there? Oh, good, thank you.
正しく切るために、刀を柔らかく握がなく
It's a group 1, remember.
握がなくね。
Let me help, Nasuka. So if we've got the group 1 verbs, when we see something like nigiru, what I would suggest, the first thing to do is change that u for an a, and then you're halfway there.
握らなければなりません。
Exactly. 握らなければなりません. Cool, good. Okay, how do time? Still got some time left. Let's go to Tom. This is the brush for writing kanji prettily.
Kanji. Yeah. Oh. Kirei na kaku.
So you can't put this na before a verb.
Ni. Kirei ni, because it's a
Adjective.
Adverb.
Yes.
Because it's an adverb.
Exactly.
Kirei ni kaku. Tame no fude desu.
Very good. Excellent. Okay. Right. So now, Tom, I'd like you to make the same sentence, but I want this. Wait just a second. No, sorry, it can't be done. It can't be done. This is fine. Can you now just redo the sentence in the similar way we did before?
この筆がは漢字をきれいに書くためです。
きれいに書くためです。Good. Exactly. Excellent. Monia. I took a book to the office to study Italian. I'm not sure why you would do this, seeing as you are Italian, but...
Okay. Italia gi.
Go.
Go.
Italia
Italia go. Tu sta. Benkyo suru. Tame ni. On o. No, kaisha de.
So kaisha ni actually.
Kaisha ni.
Sorry.
Kaisha
Kaisha ni.
ni. I don't know how to say I took or I bring a book with me.
So let's put book in there first. So the word for book is hon.
Honho.
Oh, good. And then to bring or take, this depends on what you want to say. If you're taking it away from your home, taking it to the office, for example, then this is really take, especially if you're not in that location now, then you should say I took it there. If you're now in the location, you say I brought this book with me, then we would use the word bring, of course. So for bring, we combine motsu, to hold, and kuru, to come. So, and this connection is made using te. Te. Okay, I'll now leave you to make this.
Okay. On o. Motte kimasu.
Yeah, this is in the past tense, so.
Kimashita.
Very good. Motte kimashita. And then if you were to say, I took, instead of bring, so Monya, what do you think? What's this made out of?
Take, I don't know.
Well, again, it's motsu, but instead of coming, you're.
Iku.
Exactly. So this would be.
Motte ikimashita.
Yeah, exactly. Motte ikimashita. Exactly like this. Good. Cool. Good. Joel, I jog 10 kilometers every day to lose weight.
Mainichi yaseru tame ni 10 kilomita を走ります。
Yeah, 走ります. Or if you want to, you can also just say jogging shimasu. This is also a Japanese word now. Good. Cool. Oh, Kim, look what you've ended up with.
It's your karma.
You did it on purpose.
No, I didn't. If I share my look, let me show you something. Hang on. Let me share my screen with you. It may not work, but see?
No.
That's where you are after Joel. When
No,
Tom, Monya, Joel, Kim.
Work.
I don't see it.
Oh, do you not see? Oh, okay, you can't see it. It doesn't work. Oh, yeah, you won't be able to see your own Zoom picture, would you? But yeah, trust me.
Yeah, but I got the pattern in the meantime.
While you're thinking of it, can I just say that I've achieved a new personal best for the 10,000 meters, which is 342 meters.
Try and make it to 43 tomorrow. Don't go too fast, though. Okay, Kim.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
We could crowdsource it. I'll start with that.
Okay, so let's do that. We will crowdsource it as we're running. Yeah, as we're getting towards the end of this.
Ashita.
Or
Moshi.
Good.
Moshi. Underground.
Go on.
Chikatetsu.
Chikatetsu. De.
Good.
Traveling. I don't know.
So if you were traveling abroad on holiday by airplane or train, then you might use ryoko but I'm assuming that on the underground train, this is within a city. So this is more like commuting than traveling. So I would use tsukin. Tsukin.
Tsukin.
Yeah.
That's not a verb.
Then make it into a verb.
It's with the IN. I don't know a verb. That's
How do you turn any noun into a verb?
To help.
No, come on, Kim.
Damn it. No,
If I
missed that.
the word for cuisine is ryori.
Yori.
The word for cooking is
Shimasu.
ryori suru. Yeah.
Yori suru. Yes.
So tsukin means commute.
Okay, tsukin shitara.
Good. Shitara.
And then to keeping safe. Kyotkete? No.
So yeah, this is a slightly different one. The word safety in Japanese is anzen. Anzen. This just means generally for safety. So
Anzen. Anzen no tameni.
very good. Anzen no tameni.
Mask o kite kudasai.
If you say kite, you would be understood, but there's a better word to fix it to you, to apply.
Oshite.
This means to push. Anybody guys?
Push.
Anybody else?
Kakeru?
Ateru.
Not kakeru. Not
Ateru of ataru.
not ataru. That means to touch.
To hit.
Please punch your face in the. Please punch yourself in the face with the mask.
Tsukeru.
Tsukeru. Yeah.
Tsukete.
Yep.
Tsukete kudasai.
Yes. Good. Okay. Excellent. Well done. Very good. See, wasn't that difficult, really?
Surprised.
Just long. So actually, this is a verb which, as we've got the last few minutes, this is a verb which often doesn't appear in the top 10 list of most commonly used verbs, because I don't think people think about it. But actually, skeru is used really loads, especially in our world where we're doing Budo. Skeru. This is used. So this is the transitive verb, and then the intransitive is sku.
Oh, sound is dropping.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sku.
Scoop. Just short.
Yeah. This is the intransitive. We should really kind of have this in our minds because it's used in so many different words, actually. It's a bit like soya beans in Japanese food. If you ask Japanese people what's the most common ingredients, they always say rice. And you think, well, actually, it's not. Think of everything that soya beans gets made. Think of all the things that rice gets turned into. Rice and sake, nothing else. But soya beans gets turned into soy sauce, tofu, natto. There's a few other things. What's the fermented soybean paste?
Miso.
Miso, thank you. Miso. It gets turned into almost everything else except rice. So skeru and sku is like the soybeans of Japanese language because it's used in so many different places. We used the word earlier for desk, which was skue. Sorry, reception. I mean reception, as in a hotel reception. This is uketsuke. Uketsuke. This uke, like to receive, ukeru, and then ske. This is skeru. When you want to say I arrived, or sorry, if you want to say that some mail has reached its destination, then we use suita. Suita. If we're talking about glue, this is, we just take the word for glue, nori. And if we want to say I glued something or I stuck something to a wall, we say nori tsukemashita. Nori tsuketa. Nitsukeru. And obviously in those of you that do Iaido and Jodo, we've got Kiritsuke, Nukitsuke, Kuritsuke, Metsuke, good, Ochitsuke. We've got Tsuke happens up all the time with us. So it's really one of the verbs we should kind of memorize.
The intransitive version of tsukeru is not the same verb as when you do tsuki. When you
no,
someone.
that's
different kanji.
It
right?
is, yeah, it's this one, which is purposely made for just this idea of thrusting. It's not that one. It's this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But since it's the same finish, so it ends in ku, so it's group 1, and the conjugation is exactly the same.
Yes,
it should
exactly.
be the same. Okay.
Exactly the same. Yeah. Although this is, I suppose, the only key difference, Joel, just to dig into this a little bit, is that this is the transitive verb with thrust, but scoot in this term is the intransitive. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, guys, we're actually at the end of the lesson. Any questions or any problems? Yeah. Everybody happy? Good, good, good. There's a little hill coming up. This is the base of the hill before we get onto the steeper part of Yorni. And Yorni keeps going on and on, as some of you will know. We're still doing Yorni in the advanced class at the moment in a slightly different way, but that's only because Yorni is so useful. Again, we have to learn it because it will be used in conversation a lot. And there are some things some common things you want to say, like I'd like to be able to learn how to ride a bicycle. There's no other way of saying this except to use Yorni. You have to use Yorni in these sorts of cases. Or I'd like to be able to cut like Tanaka Sensei. You could only use Yorni. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Arigatou gozaimashita. Otsukaresama deshita. Mata. Yobi ka laishu. Ja ne. Kiyotsukete. おやすみなさい。